Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another round of the Wayports Racing League, round 5 from Fern Bay Green. The Fern Bay Green GP of Division 1 of Wayports Racing League kicks off here today in just a few moments' time. I'm Peter Butcher. I'm joined in the commentary box by Adam Brown. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Pete. Yeah, looking forward to a good round today. We're at, quite a unique track this week. We're at Fern Bay Green. It's very exciting, very fast, with loads of high curbs to watch out for. This should be a very fun round.
It should. This, at the end of today, we'll be halfway through Season 2 of Wayports Racing League as we head to Aston Club next week, Blackwood Rallycross, followed by Fern Bay Gold, Blackwood GP again in the reverse configuration, and then we finish the season at round 10 on July 3rd with Kyoto Ring National. All right, to today's track, Fern Bay Green. Adam, talk us through it.
Yeah, so as I said, loads of high chicanes. This first little corner 1 and 2 is almost flat out and with some massive curbs on the inside, and the rest of the lap is incredibly fast. The slowest corner is I believe it's turn 11 at the end of the back straight. So yeah, drivers will be going barely down to second gear.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes of qualification underway. We'll bring you pictures of that in just a couple of seconds' time. Then we'll have a 15-lap race. Let's talk about the car. The car is the XF GTI in Live for Speed, a great little fun car, especially over these big curbs at Fern Bay. A 1.3 litre inline-4 front-engined, front-wheel drive car weighing in at around about a tonne with 115 brake horsepower. So it is still a handful, especially around the tight and twisty corners of Fern Bay. So let's head to the track, Adam, and see who's doing what.
I believe it is Santiago from Strings who is going to be the first to set a timed lap. He was looking fairly fast in practice, setting very similar times to Andy, I believe.
Yes, we've seen in practice that Mariano was not at the top of the timing sheets. He wasn't far off, but he was not at the top. Both of the Strings drivers were setting the pace in the practice session, so maybe that will be a foreshadowing of what's to come. Here's Andy as he makes his way around the final couple of corners and to set a time. And we have a good complement of drivers here today from all of the teams that are entered. And before we start to get the first times on the board, let's have a quick look at the standings. So in the Drivers' Championship, Mariano is the first driver to pass the century mark, 102 points for the Interlink France driver, followed by Andy from Strings, very close there at the top. Then we've got Ian, who unfortunately won't be here today to carry on his points charge. He has 45 points at the moment. Then it's Valentina, Mariano's teammate for Interlink France, with 43 points in fourth. Then we have Santiago for Strings, who will be wanting a pretty strong showing here today to try and get up the table close to his teammate. Then it's William from Interlink Brazil, Felipe for Bundles, Eduardo for Interlink Argentina, Camilla for Interlink Argentina, and Fabrizio for Interlink Brazil rounds out the table. Fabrizio has been replaced, actually, I think, in the Interlink Brazil team by a new driver for today, Arthur Guedes, who we will see hopefully driving around as one of the Interlink Brazil drivers there hits the wall in the background. Let's take a look at the Teams Championship, shall we? If you've been watching the last 4 rounds of the championship, you'll know that Interlink France are pretty solidly in the lead here. They have 145 points ahead of Strings. But yes, the Strings drivers are looking pretty strong today, so that could all change. Bundles are sitting healthy in P3, Interlink Brazil and Interlink Argentina at the bottom of the table in 4th and 5th. Adam, who's topping the timesheets?
Well, yeah, Andy is currently on provisional pole, although we do have Mariano coming across the line right now to set his first time. Don't think it'll be anywhere near Andy's time. As we see, it's over a second behind.
Yeah, there we are, 1.11 seconds, and he's got the first chicane wrong, and that's going to be, he may have to get a new car after that one. There we are. Santiago has gone up into P2 there.
Yeah, going into that tyre barrier could be a common theme in today's race and the qualifying session. It's a very easy place to get it wrong and to go into the barriers and make some big mistakes around there that will give your car quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, certainly will. So Andy for Strings currently holds on to the pole position with both hands, it seems, over his teammate Santiago by only about 0.3 of a second. So not much to to play between the two Strings teammates. But yeah, Mariano will hopefully get in a better lap later in the session. He tends to keep his car pretty clean in qualifying and sets his fastest times at the end of the session. But as we saw just moments ago, he hit the tyre wall at turn 1 and he's given himself some right front damage, which may play into the Strings guy's hands towards the end.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a huge amount of actual suspension damage, but there obviously is quite a bit of cosmetic damage there.
Yeah, speaking of cosmetic damage, as we watch Arthur here wall riding around the first corner again, I think, for the second time, he's just gone P8. He's a new driver to the series, so he'll be kind of warming up and getting used to everything in the simulator. But yeah, he'll be trying to match the times of at least his teammate, William, who has done a 1:39 so far. Here comes Andy. Can he improve? He comes up to start-finish once again. He's got his teammate just ahead of him now. Andy comes across the line, and it's the first driver in the 1:29s. What a lap.
Yeah, that was a quality lap. He's over a second in front of Santiago, as we see he's jumping over those curbs. You really need to do that if you want to get a fast time, and obviously he's pushing the boundaries there. Yeah, Santiago following him around as well.
Absolutely huge gaps now. We've got a second between Andy and Santiago and a second more between Santiago and Mariano. So it's all going off here in round 5. It really is starting to become interesting, this championship. Strings look dominant here today.
Yeah, I mean, if Mariano can't do anything more, I mean, this lap looks a bit cleaner, but I'm not sure if it looks any faster than Santiago or Andy's time. So, yeah, Mariano will really be hoping that he can get something out of this. Very clean, not very flamboyant at all, but often that is faster than doing anything crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely Mariano's style to take things nice and smoothly. Obviously, the damage on his car won't help as he heads through the final chicane. It's a really tricky chicane, this, in the XF GTI. As he heads onto the home straight now, up to start finish. Let's see, is this lap time an improvement? He has 0.8 of a second to get into P2, and he does. He, in fact, is very, very close to Andy now. So there we are. The pace of Mariano has finally been unleashed. And there we are. He is also in the 1:29s with a 1:29.95. Really close at the top.
Yeah, Santiago couldn't improve on that lap there, so he'll be relying on, well, I believe he's got time for 2 more laps here to see if he can get into the front row of the grid.
Eduardo is doing his stunt driving again. He's just rolled it in the final sector of the lap. Did he roll it twice last week at Blackwood?
I believe he did, or at least 1.5 times. He certainly made a good go at it.
Yeah, I mean, this time he didn't land on his wheels, but he was able to reset the car and carry on. Here comes Andy again through to the beach section of the lap. We call it that because there's a huge runoff full of sand just before the sea at the apex of that corner, and then you go up this little hill and there's another tiny chicane. It's not really a chicane, Adam, is it? But it's very tricky to go side by side there with another car.
Yeah, definitely would want to call it a corner, and the fact that it's got 3 curbs, I think you have to call it a chicane. But yeah, completely flat out in pretty much any car you would drive.
Yeah, nicely on 2 wheels there for Andy. That won't have cost him any time at all. Clipping the curb nicely, and then he heads down to this heavy braking zone. It's one of the heaviest braking zones on the lap before the final couple of corners. It's a bit of a lockup actually on entry, a bit too much brake force going through the front wheels, and then over this big curb on the right, and he'll do the same thing on the left. A little bit wide, has to lift off to compensate. I think he's building up for another lap, Adam.
Yeah, I believe he is. This might even be an out lap for him.
Well, half a minute left in the session, so this will be his final timed lap. Yeah, he'll be building up for one now. He needs to get on the gas, go. Only 0.2 of a second separating him from Mariano, so he is not safe at this point. But anyway, let's see what happens. Santiago, he'll want to improve. He needs to find around about a second in order to jump up into P2 where he was before.
He does run wide.
Yeah, he's cut that corner.
The track. Yeah, I mean, cutting that track won't lose you much time, but it will dirty your tires. So
yeah,
we'll have to see if he can take this very fast right-hander here with the big curb on the inside, where we saw, I believe he flipped here earlier in the session. takes that very cleanly. That was a fast line through there.
Yeah, he has to find 1.16 seconds if he wants to get onto pole. Cutting the corner at the top of the track, that it may have given him a bit of an advantage. We'll have to see, as he takes a lot of curb there. 2 corners to go, just this left-hander and then the final chicane. Off we go onto this bridge section, which has a tram line down it. You can get one of the tyres stuck in there if you drive into them, so you've got to be careful as he goes over the tram lines through this final chicane onto the home straight for Santiago. He's going to run wide, he's going to hit the wall, so that is his lap over. That's not going to be an improvement.
Yeah, if he had just shifted down and maybe to 4th, he maybe could have got the car gripping in, and maybe
he actually improved his lap time as Andy rolls it, and Andy was the final car we expected to cross the. Oh, there we go. That's you don't see that very often. There we are. Back on the track. That was very bizarre, but yes, Andy unable to improve after essentially following Santiago into the wall. That is the final driver to set a lap in the qualifying session, so we can get a result from that one.
Yeah, obviously, Mariano improved greatly over that session. He was not looking very fast by the start of it, but managed to get to 2nd place eventually with a 1:29.95. But of course, it's Andy on pole, a couple tenths ahead with a 1:29.72. Quite a good lap round here. I don't think it's the fastest we've seen from Andy during practice, but definitely very respectable. Santiago around a second behind in 3rd with a 1:30.66. Valentina behind him. Then we've got Eduardo in 5th with a 1:33.16. We're already seeing quite a big gap from Santiago in 3rd to the rest of the drivers. Felipe in 6th with a 1:34.69. William from Interlink Brazil and Arthur from Interlink Brazil, the 2 teammates rounding out the grid.
Yes, thanks for that, Adam. I think it's positive to see that the gap at the front is as tight as ever. We were a bit worried Mariano wasn't able to do quite as much practice as usual, but clearly he has found some pace when it mattered. Only 0.2 of a second separating them at the top. So going down into turn 1, Adam, as you mentioned, we've seen a few drivers going into the wall there. And this is characteristic of the first lap of races around this track because it's such a pinch point after the long home straight, and the drivers have picked up quite a bit of speed by then. So what are they going to have to worry about as they head down there?
Well, yeah, it's just making sure you're on the brakes enough. You don't need to press the brakes that hard. Maybe only a small amount of brakes, a little dab, but if you missed your braking point, you're going straight on into that second tire bundle on the outside of the corner. You really want to make sure you're not doing that, because that'll, it'll flip your car and it'll ruin your race.
We're going to go for a short break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for 15 laps of Fern Bay Green in just a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to round 5 of the Wayports Racing League Season 2. This is Division 1, the Fern Bay Green Grand Prix. We just enjoyed qualifying, 10 minutes of qualifying in fact, and it is Andy from Strings who is on pole position for this one, followed by Mariano from Interlink France, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of status quo for qualifying here, but yeah, definitely a bit of a different story.
Yeah, we're going to the track in just a couple of seconds' time, and we are going to enjoy some racing around Fern Bay Green. Here we go. So the drivers are on the grid. Here they are. We're going to see some lights pretty soon. We've got Andy from Strings there, just eagerly waiting for the lights. Here they come. We're green for Wayports Racing League round 5 of Season 2. There are the two Interlink Brazil cars making up the back of the grid, and it's a great start from Andy, Adam.
Yeah, Mariano, bit of a slow start compared to the two Strings drivers, but very, he's just got a bit of tail happy at the exit of that chicane. Already caught him out, already lost a place, and is under pressure from Eduardo.
Oh, in fact, he's been hit by Eduardo. Eduardo just didn't get on the brakes, and that's our championship leader there. Then at the back of the field with everything to do here, as the two Interlink Brazil cars finding their way onto the tarmac eventually. But yeah, that's not good news. Eduardo's brakes must have had an issue or something because he was using Mariano's rear end as a brake there. That means that Santiago's up into the second position. Eduardo into a podium place for the Interlink Argentina driver.
Yeah, this is brand new territory for Eduardo. If he can keep it clean, he probably still will be under some great pressure for Mariano, who's already made up 2 places. He will be on it, making his way back through the grid. But yeah, very good for Eduardo.
Yeah, and as usual, Santiago seems to have very, very strong early race pace. We saw him keeping up with Andy very, very well at Blackwood last time out, and it seems to be the case again. Andy will be seeing his teammate looming large in his mirror. These two drivers both succumb to the wall of champions here, the last corner of the lap during qualifying. No such problems on lap 1 for these two as they cross start-finish in team order. Andy first and Santiago second. As Mariano's just made up another place on Felipe, actually, from Bundles. There he is. Felipe, the number 5 car for Bundles in P6 now, as Mariano is making up places pretty quickly. But yeah, he'll be ruining from that mistake and also the accident with Eduardo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as the Strings guys keep it clean, keep on their kind of standard pace that they've been doing the whole weekend, then this should be an easy 1-2 for those two guys. But it's not been the case. When they've had an opportunity for easy 1-2s earlier in the season, it's not been the case that they've been able to keep them. So yeah, very, very exciting here.
Yeah, for the first time this season, Valentina finds herself as the lead Interlink France driver, for now at least. So it's her job to try and catch up to Eduardo, who was pretty much the cause of the reason that Mariano is further down the field. Eduardo, of course, is Mariano's brother, so no love lost there today. Alrighty, so here we go. Valentina has now caught up to the back, but as quickly as Valentina's caught up to Eduardo, Mariano has caught up as well. So we could have a 3-car tussle for third place as the Strings guys have absolutely disappeared up the road, Adam. There's 7 seconds.
Yeah, 7 seconds after 2 laps is incredible.
Massive. So here we go then. This is going to be fun.
It looks like, sorry to interrupt, Santiago, if you see on your screens there, Santiago's going slow.
He's got a lot of damage. He's been over. It's clearly incident with the wall. He's got rear track damage on that car. You can see the rear axle of the car has been squashed in slightly. The rear left has been completely crushed. We've got Valentina trying to get past Eduardo, who's gone through the tyres. Here comes Mariano on his teammate. Valentina will not fight that in the end. But here we go then. Mariano already up to P4. He was in last place at this time a couple of laps ago, Adam.
Yeah, very, very impressive for Mariano to make his way through the field that quickly. I just want to look back at Santiago's car. It doesn't look like he's got any damage to the roof, so I'm not really sure
Big hit into the wall,
what
perhaps.
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the place he did it, if he had hit the wall, it probably would have been the right-hand side, as you can see the track damage there on the left rear really makes this thing much easier to flip than it was already.
Yeah, this car is very flippable, and Fern Bay in Live for Speed has very high curbs. So you'll see a lot of drivers getting up on two wheels throughout the session. But here we are. Here's the key battle right now. It's Mariano versus Eduardo, his brother. And it looks like he's going to be side by side through this brilliant little complex of corners. Eduardo's going to shut the door there. Mariano's not going to find a way through in the second to last corner. He's going to have to wait until the home straight, probably, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, the home straight probably is the perfect place to do it, if not down the end of the back straight. But yeah, it's quite a tight track and all the important overtaking
he's coming into the
opportunities.
pits.
As yeah, oh
no,
not
he's
coming into
faked
the
it.
pits.
He's faked us into the pits. So thanks for that. Mariano deciding to give us a dummy. Valentina also stays out. Doesn't look like anybody is in the pit. Oh no, as I said that, Santiago has come into the pits, and Adam, he's repaired the damage.
Yeah,
so there we are.
It's going to cost him a lot of time and a lot of positions. This is an interesting thing to do here, because as we know, you can take a reset in this series.
Yeah.
So obviously not taking advantage of that, but
Eduardo has had a bad exit, Adam. He's had a really bad exit out of the beach, and that means Mariano's all over him, and there's going to be front to rear contact. Mariano's going for the outside. It's not the line you want. Eduardo feeling as though he has to go defensive on his brother. Different teams, of course, but there we are. And onto the grass again for Eduardo. Mariano with a much tighter line.
Again, Mariano gets a better exit, and he will be looking to make a move down into this corner at the end of the back straight. It's a perfect place to make a dive at the inside. Mariano's easy on the brakes, but Eduardo's locks up, and that was an easy move for Mariano in the end.
Yeah, great stuff from Mariano from last to second, but look at the gap to Andy, 14 seconds, and that is not going to come down in a hurry. We have, as Andy comes across the line, 11 laps to go, and by my calculations, Andy, if he just keeps it clean, he's got this in the bag.
Yeah, you can see he's been incredibly cautious. Of course, he has been caught out in the past by some, unforced errors during the race, and obviously making sure not to make any of those. And yeah, if he can keep this pace up, then this will be a win for him.
Here's our new driver, Arthur, for Interlink Brazil. He currently sits P8, and he'll be warming up to this series. It will be his first event, of course, and I'm sure he's having a lot of fun out there as he goes a little bit wide in the last sector, looking like he's having a whale of a time. Andy, meanwhile, is about to come round to lap Arthur, but yeah, Andy does not need to take any risks, but he does need to push a little bit, because as I've been talking, the gap between him and Mariano has come down by about a second and a half, and if Mariano can keep that pace up, that's all he's going to need to get into Andy's range. So Andy can't afford to be too cautious. When will he make his pit stop, of course? Will he make it before he catches up to back market traffic? We'll have to wait and see. But Andy, if he can keep this position, it'll be his first win of the season, of course. Mariano has 4 wins to his name, and we're only 4 rounds in. So here we are today in round 5. Can Andy finally get that elusive win?
Yeah, we're a third of the way through the race now, but as you said, Mariano is totally pushing. He really does not want to let Andy get a single win here. Andy is taking it probably a bit easier than you would want to.
Well, the gap actually went up at the previous split. It's come down again as Mariano there takes the fastest lap of the race. We're going to ride on board with him, Adam. Do you want to take us around a lap?
Yeah, so as we said, that first chicane very fast. You only go down a gear with a dab at the brakes. This second corner, well, technically the third corner, so second or third gear corner, you want to be as tight as you can on the exit. Follow that curb round so you can take a nice wide entry into that second part of that sort of chicane. Now there's another chicane here, but flat out, just got to avoid the curb so you don't go flipping over. This right-hander is incredibly difficult. You've just got to dab the brakes, get it into fourth, and he's missed the apex quite a bit there, but you can kind of ride the curb and bring it all the way out to the grass on the exit. Flat out kink here into the turn 11 on the end of the back straight. Be down a couple gears here, maybe even 3 gears. Again, Mariano's slightly off the apex. You kind of want to be hitting that curb right on the inside, and you want to hug the curb all the way around through both of these corners. You will run a bit wide on the exit here. Now this is probably the hardest corner on the track. Yeah, Mariano, on a normal qualifying lap, you would take the first part flat out and only shift down for the final part, but as he's on a quite an easy race lap, he's taking it easy, shifting down to third, and yeah, that brings you to the end of the lap.
Thanks for that. While we were watching, that Eduardo's lost a bunch of places. He was in P2, remember? He was overtaken by Mariano a couple of laps ago, but he's just dropped down behind Valentina and Felipe, and it looks like a fresh car. So he's probably rolled it at the place where he rolled in qualifying, where we watched him roll it. So not going all Eduardo's way, unfortunately. But that does mean that Valentina is in a fight with Felipe for the sole remaining podium position, while the leaders try to gap each other or something.
Yeah, Felipe, the only bundles car this week. As we said earlier, Ian is not able to make it to this round. So he will be carrying the team this time around, looking for any points they can salvage.
Yeah, he's looking smooth, and as you can tell, see the gap to P3 is nothing. So he really is going to be all over Valentina for a couple of laps, I think. Santiago, meanwhile, is in a bit of a fight with William, whose car is looking a little worse for wear. Santiago has already been in the pit lane, and it looks like William hasn't. So William still yet to make his stop. But yeah, Santiago needs to salvage as many points as he can from this from this race.
And so I'm hearing in my ear that Felipe has made his way past Valentina.
Yeah, by quite a way.
Yeah, I think Valentina might have had a little issue through that fast right-hander around the other end of the circuit. And yeah, already quite a big gap, maybe a second or so. Although Valentina is faster than Felipe through that final section of corners.
Yeah, both of these drivers still yet to make their pit stop, and we know how crucial the pit stop is in WRL. We see drivers optimizing their race for it, but some drivers just don't seem to make it as crucial a part of their race strategy, Adam, and that sometimes catches them out. As Valentina gets a great chicane, Felipe did not get a good chicane, and that's going to bunch them right up again. The bundles car ahead, braking later again into the beach section. Valentina's going to cut this corner. Went pretty deep, as you can tell. You don't lose too much time if you do it properly, but yeah, that was an interesting line there.
Yeah, I think she gained a bit of time there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but there we are, definitely gaining some time.
But got a nice bit of draft there from Felipe. Again, won't be close enough to make a move through this kink. Not really a place you want to make a move anyway. And yeah, Valentina gets the tail out a bit, and will not be close enough for a move down into this beautiful left-hander.
Yeah, update on the gap at the front. It just seems to be ebbing and flowing. It's been 14, it's been 11, it's been 13 seconds. But yeah, Mariano. Oh, as Felipe goes wide, and that lets Valentina swing round. So swapping places again at the corner at the end of the back straight. And that has hurt Felipe a lot. Valentina back onto the podium with that one.
Yeah, interesting for Felipe there. Obviously, the pressure of the podium was getting to him.
Oh, as we have a back marker there. Was that Arthur? That was Arthur being navigated by the drivers there. Felipe and Valentina finding their way past. Neither of them electing to go in the pit lane this time as we head on to lap 9 of the race. Andy for Strings leads ahead of Mariano for Interlink France. Then we've got Valentina for Interlink France in P3. This will be a great result if she can keep it. Second podium of the season.
It's very interesting to note about the battle up front. Andy set 2 fastest laps in a row, but Mariano on both times around was only a couple tenths behind. So Andy's obviously started pushing, but Mariano has the answer. He's just already 13 seconds behind.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it has been ebbing and flowing. Mariano does need to dig deep. He does need to put in consistently fast laps because as Andy crosses the line, it'll be 6 to go. There is a back marker ahead. One of the Interlink Brazil cars dives out of the way there, in fact, into the pit lane as Andy comes across start-finish. There we go, William heading into the pit lane, the number 19. And I love that livery. That is such a great livery, isn't it?
Yeah, there are some brilliant liveries. I think that might be one of the best ones.
Bright green.
Yeah, it really stands out.
Here we are back with Andy. He is making it look pretty easy. Mariano is still 13.6 seconds behind, and that is quite a gap, and it's going to be very difficult for him to bring that down. So this might have to be one that Mariano just finishes. Obviously, he didn't have the best start to this race. It all went wrong immediately at the second corner, and that means that a result like this probably in the end of the day doesn't feel too bad.
Yeah, he obviously has been helped out a bit by the fact that Santiago did get a bit of damage, did have to take a long pit stop, because if Santiago didn't make that mistake, Mariano would still be far in third.
Yep. Good observation. Yep, Santiago did lose this race, should we say. It's not over yet, of course, but Santiago was in prime position. He was all over the back of Andy, but made a mistake, and that has cost him dearly. And the points in the Teams Championship are oh so important for Strings as he runs wide through the first chicane. But let's see, he has around about 20 to 30 seconds before he's on the back of Felipe, but Felipe is a fast driver. So I don't think Santiago's really going to be able to make up any places unless someone ahead makes a very long pit stop.
Well, you do have to remember that Santiago has been in the pit box and Felipe hasn't.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think that gap is small enough for Santiago to make the move over the pit stop, but it's definitely small enough to close the gap, and Santiago does have the pace advantage.
Well, let's see. It could all come undone in the pit stop for Andy. It depends what he does. The pit stop is as much a part of the race as any other. Just because you're not on the racetrack does not mean that the race is still the race is stopped. The race is still going. So any time you lose in the pit lane, of course, translates to position on the track. So something that the drivers have to prioritize. Andy will want a quick stop. He's got a 13.5 second buffer to our championship leader. 4 race wins already this season. Mariano in P2. Valentina still in P3 and seems to be putting a pretty decent gap over Felipe, Adam, who has just pitted.
Yeah, Felipe's been in the pits.
Here comes Santiago.
It's going to be very close on the exit. Felipe's going to get out ahead.
Yeah, miles ahead, actually.
But Santiago does have all that momentum coming from the final corner, which is important in the XFG.
Yeah, he's taking a great line through the chicane there. You can see he braked perfectly, so taking pretty much the optimum line through turn 1, and he is catching up to Felipe, so that is like a carrot to a donkey. Is just being waved in front of him there as Felipe cuts a little bit of the corner, and Felipe there is being held up slightly by one of the back markers, it looks like, one of the Interlink Brazil cars at this point.
There's contact in front.
So that's Williams spinning off. Williams absolutely gone off ahead of Felipe, and that means we're going to have we've had a pass there. So yeah, Felipe has dropped behind Santiago. We have Mariano in the pits, so he's ducked first of the leaders. He's gone in, and he's going to come out round about right slap bang in the middle of Andy and Valentina again. So Valentina just coming through the final corner.
Very fast pit stop there. Very good on the brakes, I believe. And yeah, just a quick, no work done at all there for Mariano.
Into the pit lane comes Valentina, the second of the Interlink France drivers to pit on this lap. Ooh, a little bit indecisive of which pit box to go into. And it looks like a long stop. What's happened there for Valentina as she slightly loses connection? And there we go, she's back. So a bit of connection trouble going on for Valentina. But there we are. Both Interlink France drivers have now pitted. That leaves Andy for Strings. When's he going to come in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll leave it right to the last minute. He's never one to take a risk with pit strategy, really.
No. Santiago's on a bit of a charge here. He's come out only a few seconds behind Valentina, in fact. So Valentina's podium is not secure. We have 4 laps to go. As Valentina there again, just ahead, kicking up grass as she cuts the corner in her favourite spot, runs wide again in front of Santiago. She cannot afford this.
Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, Andy's in the pits and he's already out again. Yeah, no mistakes there. Very clean pit stop there from Andy.
Very fast, and Mariano's only just coming around the final corner. We'll see what the updated gap is, and we'll see who did the faster pit stop. It did look like both were pretty quick. These guys really have polished their pit lane strategy. Eduardo is the only car yet to pit, and he's down in 6th, so he's not going to gain anything from the pit stops. He was running 2nd at one point, but Valentina, she's going to be having a bit of a sweat on when she looks in her rear view mirror, because she's got a purple and grey car with the Strings logo on the bonnet, catching her at a rate of knots.
Yeah, I mean, Valentina was in the pit stop last time around, but split time was very slow over this lap, very slow second split. And yeah, Santiago with quite a fast second split, to be honest.
Well, here we go. As they come to start finish, we'll get an update on the gap between these two. I think it'll be around about the same as it was at the second split. It looks like Valentina's had a much stronger end to this lap. In fact, she has. She's opened up 7/10 over Santiago. Very deep through the first chicane, though. Let's see. Santiago with a much tighter line, as we're used to seeing. Valentina will have been caught significantly there. So you can just see that the drivers are stronger in different parts of the lap.
Yeah, Santiago. Gap is 3 seconds in front of Santiago. He's got to go 1 second a lap faster for the rest of this race.
Yeah, Andy only has to... Well, Andy can afford to lose pretty much 7 seconds a lap at this point. He doesn't need to risk anything, and he has won. Mariano, likewise, he has nearly 40 seconds of a gap over his teammate Valentina. So the top two pretty much sealed. Eduardo has finally made his way into the pit lane. Here he comes out, and he will be rejoining in P6, no problem whatsoever, in front of Mariano. But now a lap down, and Mariano lets him know that with a sharp blast of that horn. There we go. Eduardo will jump out of the way, and Mariano will get past. Yes, so Andy leads with 2 laps to go. A little bit of a squabble down at the bottom end of the circuit, Adam, as Valentina and Santiago trying to get past the back markers.
Is that going to be the kind of deciding factor in this race? Because Santiago had to slow down a lot more than Valentina did. He was right up behind Valentina, but that gap's opened up again. Probably has lost any time that he gained over that lap in that last couple corners. Yeah, he was still about 6/10 faster on that lap, but he would have been over a second faster, I believe.
Well, he's got 2 laps to go, and can he catch Valentina? We know how strong he is, and just one mistake from either of them, and that will settle this race. There is going to be no change at the front unless there's some intervention, I think. But this is the battle to keep an eye on: Valentina versus Santiago. This is important for the team's championship for both of these drivers. Obviously, if Andy wins, Santiago would surely love to be on the podium as well. But yeah, if Valentina and Mariano finish where they are, that is a strong finish for that team.
Yeah, I think Andy's going to be a bit gutted that Santiago wasn't there in the middle to push Mariano even further down on the grid, because Andy needs any points that will come his way here.
Oh, Valentina's got this wrong. She's gone on the grass. That's going to really hurt her braking. Luckily managed to get back on the track. We're losing Valentina from the server a little bit. There is a bit of a connection issue going on there, so if Valentina is struggling with connection, it might be over before the end of the lap. We are on the final lap, and Valentina's connection is letting go. I hope it survives. But here we go. Andy then rounding the kink in the back straight before the final sector, Adam.
Yeah, Andy, I mean, there's still plenty of time to flip it on a curb. I mean, this is probably the most lethal part of the track for flipping your car, but yeah, as long as he keeps it clean, he could go round the final corner at snail's pace and could probably still win this race.
Well, we knew it was going to happen at some point. Well, at least we thought it was going to happen at some point, but finally it has. Andy, after all that practice and all the commitment that he's put into practice for this series, it's finally paid off. Andy for Strings will come across the line to take his first win in Wayports Racing League Season 2. There we are, flashing in joy as he comes across the line. Mariano then will have to settle for second on this occasion. He is coming around the final corner now. Quite a void caused by an accident with Eduardo at turn 1 on the first lap. But here he comes to take a well-deserved second place after driving through from the back of the field. Then, who will it be? Will it be Valentina or will it be Santiago? Let's see.
It does look like the gap's probably a little bit too big. Valentina is going to have to make a massive mistake for Santiago to have any chance. As they both run a bit wide.
Yeah, they're both pushing, aren't they? Santiago's thrown everything at it, and he's gone over the. Oh, they're both like this is. Wow, this is absolutely on the edge. They're pushing so much, and Valentina's crashed. Valentina's in the wall.
Valentina has crashed.
She's crashed on the final corner.
Lord.
Absolute drama here. Absolute scenes as Santiago will be, he must be laughing to himself after watching that. Valentini had one corner, and Valentina's not just lost a place to Santiago, she's lost a place to Felipe as well. So on the final lap, then, another podium gone for Valentina, and Santiago comes across the line to take P3. He must be delighted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that was the commentator's curse. I think
it was.
I think that was Santiago getting in the mirrors a bit too much. I'm not
Maybe,
sure, but
maybe that is pressure. I mean, the gap was pretty stable for quite a while, and yeah, Valentina's just dropped the ball at the final moment. There we are. We have full confirmation of all the finishes. Eduardo finished P6, William from Interlink Brazil P7, and Arthur from Interlink Brazil here pirouetting into P8. Good effort on his first race, and yeah, nice stuff. So, Adam, after that thrilling final few corners, let's get a full rundown of the race result.
So yeah, P1. Well, of course, we had Andy from Strings, who well, I think he got the triple there. He got the treble. He got pole position, fastest lap, and the race win.
Yeah, the Triple Crown. Great stuff.
Very impressive for him. Trying to make up that gap back to Mariano in the points. Mariano in second. Well, marred by that first lap collision with Eduardo, but made sure to get through the field as fast as possible, minimize the damage, and ends up in second. Santiago in third with that. Well, that last lap was insane. Really, I don't know. Don't really have any other words to put to that. It was incredible. Santiago really filling the mirrors of Valentina. She makes a mistake, and Santiago comes through to fill that last step on the podium. Felipe in fourth, also benefiting from Valentina's issues. Valentina herself in fifth. Eduardo in sixth. William in seventh. And Arthur from Interlink Brazil, our newcomer, in eighth.
Fantastic. We've got some interviews lined up, Adam, and I think it's first of all time to congratulate Mr. Andy from Strings. Andy, you're in the commentary box. Congratulations on your first win in Wayports Racing League Season 2.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Finally, yeah, the curse is broken.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the qualifying session. In the end, it was quite close, but it looked like you had it pretty comfortably in the bag.
Yeah, my strategy was to do safe laps and do 30s, kind of 30s. And in the end, I could push a little bit harder and go much more risk, especially first chicane. It's very tricky. So I held it back till the very last lap, and I had very good splits. But the very last corner, I had that flip, unfortunately, but no problem.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching the replay back of this race, because something similar happened to Santiago and Valentina. I'll let them explain to you what happened there. But yeah, quite an awesome race. Congratulations on your first win. And yeah, Adam mentioned it in commentary. This is the first Triple Crown for you as well. You got the fastest lap in the race, you got the pole position, and you got the race win. It must feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, all that practicing pays out. And yeah, I was warned. I was warned with that spin of Mariano and the flip of Santiago in the first laps. I was warned to drive very carefully. I tried to stay out of trouble, any trouble where it was, and do the safe pit stop. And I knew with the cold tires, I don't have a chance to attack and push hard the first 4 laps. So I was very, very careful.
Yeah, well, that definitely paid off. We thought you might have been taking it a little bit steady, but in the end, the gap to Mariano was holding pretty strong. You really had some good pace out there. So well done. It's awesome to see you on the top step of the podium. And let's hope you can carry that momentum through into Aston Club in a week's time. How are you feeling about Aston Club?
I hope for not spending so much time on that track, but do good laps, because it was obviously a lot of time spent in practicing the last weeks, and I want to change that and be competitive, although.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you very much for your interview, Andy. Great to hear from you again, and well done.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's now the champagne. Yeah.
Brilliant. Adam, do you have a few questions for Mariano from Interlink France?
Yeah, well, Mariano, that was obviously a good recovery drive from you there, making your way back up to second. What happened on the first lap?
Oh man, that was a bad race. So yeah, I couldn't practice as much as I usually do, but I did practice the start, and this never happened to me at the start. I went a little too, I didn't want to lift. I just went with everything I carried from the start into that chicane. I touched the tires, and there was some, I lost a little bit of stability and speed, and that led to Eduardo being really close to me, and then he just took me out. That's just it's too bad because after something like that, and Andy just pulled away. I could never see him again. I could never race him, and that's the real shame. But I'm really happy for him. It's great. Congrats to Andy, of course. Yeah.
You were also kind of helped by the fact that Santiago had a little issue, a little bit of damage that he had to pit for. Do you think that if Santiago didn't have that damage, you would be second, or would you even be back in third?
Of course. I mean, I just saw him in the interview waiting room, and I was asking him what happened because I expected to race him, and he told me that he had some trouble there flipping. So yeah, definitely. If it didn't have that trouble, I think it would have been really difficult as well because he did an early stop. And I was really, I don't know if you saw me, but I was hesitating for a couple of laps whether to stop or not and to face the traffic or
thanks for that. It threw us off quite a bit.
Right. I just didn't know what to do. And I was racing him definitely. And I got lucky there for sure.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, and well done for your podium there.
Good recovery drive. Great recovery drive.
Thank you. See you guys.
Third place goes to Santiago. Santiago, welcome back to the commentary box.
Hi.
Congratulations, P3. It didn't look like you were going to get P3, but on the final lap, Valentina gifted it to you. How do you feel?
Well, I don't know. She deserved it, right? So I saw her lagging at the end. So I saw how we were switching positions, and I didn't know what to do. So like I saw her appearing and disappearing at the same time. So at the end, I don't know. I made it to the third place.
Yeah, I think it's more maybe a factor that Valentina saw you in the rear view and the pressure maybe got to her. But I'd like to have a chat to her actually after the race if we can. But yeah, congratulations on another podium, Santiago. How do you feel about the fact that we're going to Aston Club in a week's time?
Oh, Aston. I didn't try it yet, but I like it. I really like it. So maybe I keep this position. I guess.
Great. Yeah, it's similar to the other race we had at Aston. So you did pretty well there. So I assume it'll be the same again. Hopefully practice goes well for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on P3. Awesome work. We hope to see you back here next week.
See ya.
Cheers. I do wonder if we can get a quick word from Valentina. I do want to see if we can have a word. Valentina, are you there? Valentina is not there. Okay, that's a shame. I would have liked to have spoken to her. But anyway, Adam, let's bring this show to a close. A pretty great race, defined by the first corner and the last corner, as it happened, and a little bit in between. Do you want to give us your summary?
Well, yeah, I think that's almost a perfect way of putting it. You very much excitement on the first laps, bit of time to recover, bit of time to catch our breath, and then some more excitement on the final few laps. Definitely one of the most exciting races we've had so far the whole season, and yeah, definitely there's more like this to come.
Definitely, I hope so. I hope everybody at home enjoyed watching. In a few days' time, the drivers are going to start practicing for round number 6. That will be coming at us from Aston Club, and we hope you can join us for that on June the 5th at 2:00 UTC. I've been Peter Butcher. He's been Adam Brown. Thank you very much for watching Wayports Racing League Season 2, Division 1. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.